All right, let's work through the tapes. This is GRE head Dr. Katsumi report number 1.
Dr. Stevens, thank you for your support as I take over the role of chief physician of the GRE. While I understand the higher-ups need a scapegoat for the virus leak, your expulsion seems counterproductive. All the more reason to thank you for agreeing to review my reports before I send them to the GRE board. October 20th, 2021. A GRE report on the state of the epidemic. With the first cases in Zurich and Paris, the plague spread like wildfire. We're dealing with a variant of the 2014 strain. We call it tachytransmissive heron virus, or THV. It's deadly and highly transmissible. We recommend immediate action. All European borders must be closed immediately. All civilian air and rail services suspended. National governments must introduce civil procedures as follows. Isolate individuals thought to be infected. Quarantine anyone who's been in close contact with them. Issue shelter-at-home orders immediately. As for the dead, bodies should be incinerated. Implementing restrictions now will slow the spread of the virus. We need time to create a vaccine and have begun working with private sector companies. Our diligence in the coming weeks will decide on our fate.
It sounded like they tried to make her be Southern occasionally, but she just didn't do well. GRE head Dr. Katsumi report number 2.
December 19th, 2021. GRE report on the state of the epidemic. Firstly, I must comment on the news report now circulating. It has damaged our credibility in the eyes of the world. Yes, the virus may have leaked from a GRE lab, but we cannot dwell on the past if we are to have a future. The data shows that the THV strain is far more contagious than previously known. So far, only antizen has proven reliable in stopping the virus's spread. However, we've found in Villador the same results as in the other 20 candidate cities. The UV light affects the virus in a similar way. It stops the virus's spread without eliminating it from the body. Nonetheless, at this rate, in a few weeks, more than half of humanity will be infected. Accordingly, we must now enter the second phase of the protocol. Governments should now outlaw the following. The operation of any business not deemed an essential service. Gatherings of more than 4 people not sharing the same household. Free movement by any civilians who are not first responders or essential workers. In short, we recommend that martial law be declared. We may still bring this situation under control.
Those regulations hit a little bit too close to home from the whole COVID crap. This is report number 3.
January 24th, 2023. GRE report on the state of the epidemic. I'm sorry to report that infection numbers are going up, not down. The mortality rate in Europe has increased from 45,000 cases per week to 320,000. In Ukraine and Poland, the number of cases has increased by 400% each week. In Russia and Spain, healthcare systems are completely overwhelmed. Despite the mobilization of the military and the closure of borders, despite implementing containment measures in the 20 most impacted cities, the protocol is failing us. We now have to face the facts and admit that nowhere is safe. Russia's military has begun a campaign of genocide against those even suspected of infection. It pains me to say what follows, but there is little hope of survival for most of the world's current population. Thus, we at the GRE must pivot. Look at the bigger picture to prevent mankind's extinction. Speed up our actions. Time is short. We must centralize resources and start operating at the very heart of events. Enhance our efforts to bring humanity a cure. Start making immediate decisions. But also, and my voice trembles when I say this, radical ones.
Yep. All right, number 4.
11 months have passed since we arrived in Villador. With us are the leaders of 6 major European countries and their combined militaries. The Council of Mankind. April 13th, 2024. GRE report on the state of the epidemic. The report is about Villador, the last major city left in the world. All others have fallen. This city is humanity's last hope. The Council of Mankind is doing its best to protect the city as the GRE studies THV in controlled circumstances. The protocol. Unrest among the citizens is growing as thousands of immigrants gather outside the walls. The military safeguards the border, but some leaders are worried the situation might escalate. Inside, crime is on the rise as supplies grow scarce. Civilians have started to form militia groups, patrolling the streets with guns. General Pratt ordered them to disband and confiscated all privately owned weapons. This led to many protests all over the city, attended by thousands. At one gathering, the military opened fire. 64 civilians were killed. People call it the March Massacre. I have reason to believe we are on a downward spiral now. I've never been religious. But if there's a God, then this virus is the devil. And we are in hell.
So, chalk this up to my normal amount of ignorance, but I was unaware this was the last major city in the entire world. Interesting. It getting hit by missiles makes it makes this a lot tougher in that case, I suppose. All right, my bad. Report number 5.
August 8th, 2024. GRE report on the state of the epidemic. Uncontrolled rioting grips the city. Last month, an angry mob raided a supply ship moored at the wharf, damaging it. Soldiers panicked and threw crates of ammo overboard to prevent them from being seized by the angry mob. Thank God they kept safe the medical supplies we need to increase antizin production. But let us not forget, antizin is not a cure. It merely inhibits the virus. Immigrants deemed useful are being granted entry to the city. This selection process has sparked even more outrage and further violence.
Katsumi, did you allow treatment of wounded rioters at your Central Loop clinic?
General Pratt, These people required medical attention. Doctors take an oath.
For fuck's sake! Your clinic is now the epicenter of a THV outbreak! 4 doctors have tested positive!
What? Oh, God!
The clinic is to be isolated immediately, a quarantine zone established. If not, the virus will spread like wildfire. We're shutting down the VNC tower transmitter. If the only way to stop the riots is to block all communications and confine them to their homes, so be it. Proud of yourself, Katsumi?
I also just now noticed her first name is Kobayashi, which it might be a nod to the Kobayashi Maru, like an unwinnable situation and how you handle it. Number 6.
October 2024. GRE report on the state of the epidemic. There's good news and bad news. The good news is GRE researchers are finally getting some promising results in clinical tests. The bad news is we are fighting against time for more than one reason. The riots have gotten out of control. Rumors have begun to spread, reminding the population that the GRE was responsible for the virus in the first place. Someone is distributing defamatory flyers. Some of my colleagues suspect the army. Can't believe it, but Pratt has cut off communications with the GRE. It appears the military has decided to use the GRE as a scapegoat for all this turmoil. But maybe I'm wrong. I hope I am.
There she is! She's one of those murdering doctors, too!
Stop! Stop! What are you doing?
Shut the hell up, murderer! You're about to get some of your own medicine.
You're making a mistake. I'm trying to help. If you blame science, we're all going to die!
Yeah. All right. I don't know what CPT. Oh, Captain. Captain Posner status report to Colonel Williams, #1.
Captain Posner to Colonel Williams, status report for Monday, December 16th, 2024. One of my men needed a doctor immediately, so I hurried to the nearest garrison led by Major Matt. It seemed the wisest course of action, all things considered. The squad doesn't know I'm working on a morale assessment. The news of General Pratt's death had little emotional impact on the men. They did not respect him, believing that he had lost control of the situation a long time ago and was unable to make difficult decisions. They have a lot of respect for you, sir. I've also spoken to Major Matt, but he's hard to read. He avoided mention of you, and that's significant. He has a group of loyal soldiers who are at his beck and call. He clearly revels in his power, and exhibits the behavior of a man who will always seek more power. Can you count on him? I will find out in the coming days.
All right. Captain Posner status reports to Colonel Williams, #4. So it looks like I'm missing at least 2 and 3.
Captain Posner to Colonel Williams. Status report for Monday, February 10th, 2025. Major Jack Matt's rebellion is gaining momentum. A large number of soldiers have deserted and joined him. They think that you intentionally neglected to inform Matt of the evacuation and left his squad to die. They don't know that Matt, according to my investigation, ignored the order and is responsible for the tragedy himself. And he certainly doesn't want anyone to know about it. Needless to say, the civilians hate us. The attacks are led by Juan Rayner, who has named his group the Revolutionary Committee. Rayner and Matt are joining forces more and more. The ongoing fights can already be described as a civil war. Old Villador has become their main arena. We have already lost a lot of good men. The morale of the others has bottomed out. They have to fight against men who were, until recently, their brothers. You're right. The only way to stop this is to put Matt down as quickly as possible. I'm on his trail.
Report #5. So I'm only missing 2 as far as I know.
Captain Posner to Colonel Williams. Status report for Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. Jack Matt's men have regrouped and set up their main base on a container ship in Central Loop. They've started calling themselves the Peacekeepers. Matt's created his own hierarchy and bestows his own military ranks. He suffers from profound delusions of grandeur, despite clear evidence that he's a traitor. He has broken his military oath and insists that his followers pledge allegiance to him and him alone. Their slogan is dignity, peace, brotherhood. It's horseshit. The man who started a civil war speaks of peace and dignity. You are right. It becomes more evident every day that he is a sick, dangerous man. He wants to kill you, Colonel. It's his obsession in order to keep the truth about him hidden. That's why we have to kill him first. I have a man on the ship who feeds me intel. He'll let me know when there's a good time to get Matt.
All right. We're on to Carl's journal entries, and I have 4 in a row, so.
I'm recording this for posterity, so they can learn from my mistakes. To warn all who follow about the worst of plagues. And I am not referring to the virus. I was born into a very religious family. My earliest childhood memories? Prayer. Every morning and every evening. Knees scraped from constant contact with oak floorboards. When I grew up, I had a very hard time. I was lonely. I suffered. Despite my upbringing, I turned to religion for solace. It gave me the answers I sought. That I came to realize my father had tried to give me. To endure bullying is to earn heavenly rewards. God was my best friend, my only friend. I talked to him every day, and I believed that he listened to me and answered and loved me too. I felt like I owed him a debt. And that's why I enrolled in seminary. I think I became a fanatic in a way. The urge to spread his teachings, convert others. It was not about God. It was about my own shortcomings. It was about me. There was something unhealthy about it. And dangerous.
All right, number 2.
At the age of 23, I became a priest. Still just a snot-nosed kid, and I was supposed to be a shepherd of souls. I felt I was meant for this. I had answered the call. If God was with me, then who could be against me? I was full of conviction, faith that I could make the world a better place. But the world had other plans. Many times, I performed someone's last rites. I held their hands as they died. And in that last moment, in the millisecond before their last breath, I saw in them relief. Not because they were moving on to some kind of better world, to heaven, but because it was the end of something painful. They could finally bow out of the futile and exhausting dance of life. Their chore of living would be over. Their suffering would end. It was something completely incomprehensible to me. How can a person reject the gift of life? To accept death joyfully? For a person as strong as me, this was something very disturbing. Or maybe they knew about something that I had not seen? Did they see it in their last moment? This was the first crack in the edifice of my faith. And then, the epidemic started.
Number 3.
There's a term for what came next. A crisis of faith. And with me, it started long before the epidemic. But when people started to turn into monsters, when city after city was eaten by darkness and poison, I started to wonder, where is God? Is he putting us through a trial? Or has he abandoned us? When Black Monday came, I no longer had any doubts. There is no God. There never was. Because of the THV Genmod bombings, 2 million people lost their lives. The streets carpeted with human corpses. What God would allow that? He would have to be infinitely cruel. Of course, other so-called men of the cloth offered nonsensical observations. That this was the will of God. Punishment for our wickedness. That Colonel Williams himself served as the hand of God. But that didn't matter anymore. The curtain had been torn off. People lost their faith. Because what were they supposed to believe in? No one wanted a God like that. And in that moment, to my own surprise, I felt free. As if I were a puppet who finally cut the strings that controlled him since birth. Free at last.
Number 4. And I'm going to keep doing all on this same one. I'm going to go through Journal of Night Runner up to number 6. And also get this for Alice. Yeah, so here's number 4 for Carl.
After the Black Monday massacre, most people lost their faith. So did I. But it only took a few years before some people started to form cults that adapted elements like old deities and pagan faiths. They even started performing sacrifices, thinking someone would send them rain. People need shackles. They want to be controlled, lied to. They want someone to tell them how to live, what to do and what not to do. They prefer this to taking responsibility for their choices. Some researchers think religion is a linguistic virus that alters brain function and suppresses the ability for critical thinking. I repeated the same trite phrases for years, not thinking for a second about what I was actually saying. And what I was saying was mostly about instilling a feeling of guilt. It all dripped in evil, punishment, penance. Disgusting, oppressive baggage pressing you down into the dirt. But I tossed it off, as did thousands of others. The epidemic was a tragedy, but also a tremendous opportunity. An opportunity to fully free oneself from the bonds of religion. To stop believing in fairy tales and instead believe in yourself. That's what Francoise used to say, and I supported her vision. I joined her movement. Together, we can create a new community based on reason, mutual respect, empathy, and cooperation. One with room for everyone, including you.
All right, that's all the ones I have for Carl. This is called For Alice number 2.
Hey, little Alice. I know it's bad manners to mention a woman's age, but sorry, you're really getting up there. You're 6 months old. And I managed to wrangle 3 days paternity leave away from the station, which these days is a rare gift, trust me. We went to a park today. Your mom found it extremely funny to splash me with the water from a fountain, repeatedly. I have a feeling you'll be just like her. I hope so. Maybe you'll have more patience with idiots than I have. At the park, we met some self-righteous jerks. Who said we shouldn't have brought you outdoors. You could be exposed.
Come on, honey. They were just showing their concern. These are scary times for some people.
See what I mean, Alice? Mommy is way more a people person than I am. I really do hope you take after her. Your daddy is more the crotchety type.
Don't listen to him. Your daddy's a marshmallow.
Alice, I'm gonna be honest with you. Hopefully, by the time you get to hear this virus thing will be ancient history. But you, baby, you are your mom's and my future. And we love you. And that's all you need to know. So there.
Dennis, they're in the streets again. Another protest.
Ignore it, honey. My buddies at Riot Control will handle them.
All right. Journal of a Night Runner number 1.
My name is Anton Novak, and I'll be a fucking legend! Sorry. I couldn't help myself. I'm recording this for you, Pops. You want to hear a secret? You know, when you do, I bet you'll be ashamed of yourself. All my life, you told me I wouldn't amount to anything. But then I became a PK. What'd you do? Called me a traitor. Then Dad explained that the PK don't give a shit about us. The people of the bazaar. Thanks for the vote of confidence, Pops. There ain't no one I don't give a rat's ass about, Pops. I'll show you what I'm made of. Today, some guy I didn't recognize approached me. Said if I was looking to be a hero, I was looking in the wrong place. And that I have potential. I never heard that from you. Said to meet him on the roof of the old textile factory at midnight. And here I am. Like an idiot. What am I doing here? Maybe I wanted to show you. I wanted you to see. Oh shit! What the? Dude's jumping between buildings like a fucking panther. Fuck! I can't let him find me.
Come on out, kid. I know you're here. I'm Killian.
The next 5 are just going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'm just going to mute myself.
Hey, Pops. I just got back from training with Killian. Says my body's gotta be strong enough for the first shot. I don't know what the fuck that's all about, but Killian's a great guy. Kind of a taskmaster, though. Been keeping me at arm's length. I don't think he entirely trusts me because I was a PK. All I know about them is they are night runners. Yep, them. The ones people are talking about, Pops. They help people. They fight bandits, clear areas of virals. No, they really believe this world can be restored. And I'll be one of them. You'll see. Hey, Pops. I don't feel too good. Got that first shot today. Whew. Found out they had their eye on me for a while. Stole my PK medical files and found out my blood type. Then Killian recruited me. This shot contains some crap they call inhibitors. A blend of antizin and a THV derivative. They say it kills 95% of people who take it. That's why only a handful become night runners. The chosen ones. The survivors, they mean. And that means me now. Killian says I have one of the strongest metabolisms he's ever seen. Soon, I'll be like him. Jumping around buildings like a fucking grasshopper. I can imagine you shaking your head at all this. Especially getting shot up. You gotta look past that. We have a chance to make a difference. To be the light in the darkness. That's what Killian says. In a couple of days, we're heading into a dark zone. I'm not afraid. Not a bit. I'm looking forward to all of it, Pops. Just wanted to tell you that... whatever, I have to go. Woo-hoo! I feel amazing! I can run faster, jump higher. I feel as strong as an ox. No, a fucking volatile. Killian says I handled the first dose really well. Now I gotta undergo 100 days of training. He introduced me to the others. I met Frank, our leader, and... I fucking talk too much. Killian officially became my training mentor. You'll hear about me soon, Pops. I'm gonna be a fucking legend! Hey, Pops. Today I was pulling civilians out of that dark zone I told you about with Killian. It was my first dark zone ever. It wasn't that bad, except for just this one thing. We saved a mother and her children who got trapped in there, and I have no idea what got into me. But I wanted to go deeper. I wanted to keep going, find one more family, one more child. Make sure no one was left behind. I had to make sure. Killian tried to tell me we'd cleared the dark zone. For some reason, I didn't believe him. We argued. Middle of it all, a fucking viral jumped on my back. I thought I was... I'm alive only because of Killian. I wish I could talk to you about this. Who does Frank think he is? One minute he talks about my potential, the next he accuses me of reckless behavior. Says that I put others in danger. Back at the dark zone after we pulled that mother and her kids out. Fuck, we pulled it off, didn't we? What's so reckless about success? He spewed some line at me about how he's worried my metabolism isn't handling the shots as well as he thought it would. Can you believe this crap, Pops? My test results were always perfect. If you ask me, it says more about him than about me. He just can't bear someone standing up to him, especially not a young kid. Oh, and check this out. I was put on notice. He'd be watching me, he said. Fuck him. I'll give him something to watch.
It sounds like there should be more. But that's the last that I have, unfortunately. I do want to find more now. That's the end of this video. The next video will have probably the remaining 25. Well, the remaining 25 that I have, that is. But yeah, I'll see you soon for the next one. There's something I have to do, and I can't remember what it is right now.